Open Line Friday, let's go to the phones. We always try to get to the phones in the first hour on Open Line Friday. We'll start San Francisco. Mark, thank you, sir. You're up. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure. And my condolences for your loss with HR.
Thank you.
I can imagine. But here's my point, is that, Mitt Romney would probably be the best president we can get. He's proven himself as a great executive, but he's not a great politician. And I think what's really important is going forward that we do not declare the Republican candidate too soon, because the media is going to chew him up and spit him out. But we need an executive, and we've got some great executives out there. And I don't think it's Christie. I certainly ain't Jeb Bush. Walker, he's a great guy. That's my point.
What do you mean we don't want to declare a candidate too early? What do you mean by because that's not how it happens. Well, there's a primary process, so one of these guys is going to win.
If the left gets their hands on any candidate, they're going to dig up the dirt. I mean, look at how Obama got elected in Illinois. They brought out these files that were supposedly sealed.
Yeah.
So if
they're going to do that.
Huge field.
They're going to do that. No, they're going to do that to everybody in the course of this. They're not going to wait for one of these guys to get nominated. They're going to destroy everybody beforehand. Then one of those guys is going to get nominated. Then they're going to move in for the kill.
Right, but the future of our country depends on a great executive and not a great politician. I mean, Clinton may be a pretty good executive, but a great politician.
Now, that also is a provocative statement to me. That's interesting that you say that. And the reason I want to explore that with you is my belief that politics, as distasteful as it appears to be, and as dishonest and corrupt and all of those things it appears to be, it nevertheless is its own business. There are specific things one has to do to climb the ladder of success in politics. And being an executive is not necessarily one of them. Who was the last executive and I know what you mean by executive. You're talking about at a company in the free market economy. Name for me the last one that was elected president.
The best president in my mind, the gentleman president of all time, is George H.W. Bush, or W. Bush.
George W.
I mean, he was a gentleman president. He conducted himself as professionally and proficiently as possible. To your question, I don't know. Who?
Well, that's my point. I can't name one either. I mean, now Bush was an executive and ran the Texas Rangers for a while, the baseball team. And he was an executive at an oil company now and then. So he may satisfy your requirement.
Governor. Texas helps too.
Governor. Well, but it's okay. So that's executive. You mean he has run a state as well? You're talking about an executive as opposed to a senator?
Our friend over there in Minnesota has done a tremendous job. He'd be a great president. And the senator from Florida, he'd be a great vice president.
Okay.
And that's just
all right. So, by executive, you didn't mean a CEO of a widget company. You meant an executive who's run a state. Okay. Well, that compared to a senator, that argument could be made very easily. There's a reason senators don't win, usually. It's rare when they do. There's a reason Obama was a noted exception, but he didn't win the presidency because he was a senator. He didn't win the presidency because of anything he learned in the Senate, because he hardly ever showed up. But governors are a different story. Senators, they're isolated. They're one guy. They run an office, but they don't run the Senate, don't run anything. And it's not really good training vis-a-vis or when compared to governors who have to run states. And they learn quickly where their ego belongs. As a governor as opposed to a senator who can lead with his ego and be dominated by ego. A governor really can't, not an effective one. Anyway, Mark, I appreciate the call. We got to take another time out. My friends, time rolls on faster than anywhere else here on the EIB network. Okay, let me move in here and head things off before we get too far out of control. Starting to talk about what we need, who we need, what kind of person we need to be the next president of the United States. There's only one qualification that interests me, folks. It's the only chance we have to restore this country. It's the only chance we have to begin the process of reversing this transformation that Obama has begun. We have got to nominate a conservative Republican. It's the only way we're going to win. Going out and finding an executive doesn't matter. That's not what we need. And it would help. I'm not trying to be dismissive here. I want to stay focused on what we need to do and what needs to happen. Conservatism, properly applied, properly understood, brilliantly articulated, all of that. That is what we need. And not only, that's what will win. Of that, I have no doubt. We don't need people that think that Washington's not working because Republicans are not cooperative. We don't need that. We don't need candidates that think 10% or 20% or 30% of the Democrat agenda will help us win. We don't need people who are just saying, yeah, we can't be too critical. The voters don't like conflict. They want us to get along. That candidate's going to lose, like that candidate always loses. It's not complicated. We've tried it the establishment way year after year, presidential election after presidential election. The evidence is in. We know what wins. We know also loses. Now, let me play a little game here for you. One of Obama's big